out great for you. And we're going to go now into our number 4 pick for greatest sports movie of all time, a personal favorite of mine, Remember the Titans, starring Denzel Washington, Academy Award winning Denzel Washington, in a story that not only is about a football team coming and trying to win a state championship, but there's a race division within the school that they address strongly in this film. Guys, Remember the Titans.
Yeah, actually, this is one of my favorite sports movies. You know, the whole racial equality thing that you were talking about, Mike. You know, there was a separation. You know, there was a lot of white and black players on the team. You know, they hated each other at first. You know, and came together and bonded later in the season, and were able to win a championship. And that's a great thing. It's, you know, and it's a little bit. It's emotional too. You know, the part where Gary Bertier ended up being paralyzed and all that, and it was just, you know, they kind of went out there for him and supported him and won that championship, even though he had, you know, the serious injury. And it was, you know, it was just one of my favorites. It was like it was inspiring.
But you're Superman. You can't die. You're Superman.
I mean, I think it's a classic movie, and there's so many quotes from it. My friends always do strong side, weak side, and
oh my god,
my favorite was without a doubt is we blitz all night. I just love that speech. It's so good. It's definitely the most iconic part. That was definitely the part of like he didn't get the head coaching position, and then he had to settle for the defensive coach position. But that part right there was like, I'm not gonna let them hurt my friend. And I think that was the best part about it, was he sucked it up and didn't say, you know, I didn't care about getting the head coaching position. This is not right, and we will still be the best team there is. And that is just such a good movie for that.
Mm-hmm. Tonight you make them remember the night they played the Titans. I think that wraps the movie up perfectly. Every time towards the end, I get a little sob a little bit because, you know, I'm a big football guy. I love what this movie did. It motivated us a lot. I mean, I remember in high school, our football teams, we would watch this movie before games, before a big like rival game. We'd watch it to like motivate us. And I think around the country, a lot of people get motivated and a little tear-hearted when this movie comes on. It's a TBS and TNT hit at least once a month.
You think the Titans used that before? Because I would. If I were the owner of that team, I'd be putting that on. Yeah, Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, and they come out strolling and do the dance too as well.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts too of that movie.
Absolutely. Miracle and Remember the Titans, I think, are a good reflection of each other. Out of the two, one's at 10, one's at 4. Tyler, what do you think is personally your favorite movie out of the two?
Well, I think it's got to be Remember the Titans, because the story itself is so unbelievable. Of like, they actually had to come together. Anytime you join the U.S. Olympic team, you're already a part of a team. You know together you're gonna have to bond. But for that team specifically, Remember the Titans, they didn't have to. They didn't have to come together. You know, they could have split apart. They could have went back to racial ties. They could have just went their separate ways. But they did come together, and they won that championship. And I think that's the most important part about the story.
All right, and now we're going to go into our number 3 pick of greatest sports films all time, and that is Raging Bull, directed by Martin Scorsese, starred by Robert De Niro in a very classic tale, another boxing tale we have on here on our list of a comeback kid who really couldn't settle his life, and it's a telling tale of a man who came out of a bad neighborhood. Started out in boxing, a very aggressive movie. Some of the fight scenes in there are absolutely insane, especially at the end when he hits his family, he ruins his life, drugs, alcohol, and it shows what can happen to an athlete when their ego and the whole world gets the best of them.
Yeah, he was almost like animalistic in a way, you know what I mean? He took a lot of that anger out, as you were saying, on the family. It destroyed his relationships, his family, you know, and it really hurt him. But, you know, and a lot of it was so violent that, you know, people didn't even want to watch it. People didn't want to see it. It didn't really get great reviews. I mean, there were reviews that were saying, oh, this is one of the greatest movies, you know, but then you had people saying, well, this is too violent, and people didn't want to go see it.
Some theaters refused to have it played.
Right. I mean, there's a ton of violence in there, just tons and tons of it. But I mean, if you look at it objectively, like it's such an excellent movie. Like there's no denying it. It's probably one of the best boxing movies ever. ever created, in my opinion. Do you think it's the best?
Definitely, I would say it's better than Rocky because it's not about like the match itself. It's definitely more about like his life. When he's in the ring, that's definitely like about his life right there. It's the struggle, it's the fight, it's everything, and that's like the most touching part about it. Rocky, you like the hard work, but this is not a feel-good movie. You don't go home feeling good about this. It makes you think, and it definitely is just you wonder how hard that person's life is. And there are plenty of boxers whose lives were like this. They come out of tough situations. Maybe the ring actually helps them a bit, and they never actually even be successful after that. Mike Tyson, for example, is one of the best examples for it.
What I think is crazy about this movie is when they go and they do the flash forwards of Jake LaMotta in the future, and they actually make him look like he's like 50 pounds, like, 10 years older. The makeup artists in that movie are incredible. And it's kind of a bitter story at the end. And I think that makes it a better sports story because so many sports stories have the happy ending, the everything's well, everything goes great. But this movie, it's a true tale and something I think that more movie makers should look at as an example. And now we're going to go into our number 2 pick for greatest sports movies of all time, and that is the classic Iowa Tale of Field of Dreams. And I know this is my favorite baseball movie. Guys, what is it to you as just a sports movie in general?
I mean, if we play it, they'll watch. I mean, it's the simplest way to say it. It's iconic,
This isn't really heaven. This is Iowa.
I mean, they talk about it more than just a sports movie. It's one of the greatest movies ever, and there's a reason for it. It is a very just good movie, feel-good story, and that's also, like, once again, talking about the father-son relationship. This is it. I think this is really the most iconic. The Natural is about the love story itself, father-son relationship, but even playing baseball. This is it of just putting in, once again, hard work and then just what you can do with a little bit of effort.
Yeah, exactly. And, as Joe Jackson kind of makes his appearance at the end, nobody was believing, that these guys would actually show up. Only one person can see it. But, he built it, and he was able to come. And it was just such a heartwarming story. And I agree with you, Tyler. This is probably one of my favorite baseball stories. I love it. I just think the whole concept was interesting. It was great. The bonding levels was just great. Like it was one of those just feel good stories.
I think the dream aspect of it all. One of the best scenes is when the guy walks through and the made up team is he's about to take a swing and he's like, oh, you got in my way, like you messed up my. And I think they had a lot of great shots with that aspect as well in the film. But now we're going to go to our number 1 sports movie of all time. And can we get a drum roll, please? Let's get a little drum roll. Our number 1 sports movie of all time is Hoosiers. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1, Hoosiers. What can you say enough about this film? It's truly about a man who gets to have his redemption team and to come and win the Indiana State Championship. Tyler?
I mean, it's iconic for the reason that it was one of the first sports movies ever made. It's just, everybody loves it. It is that feel-good story of the man finally coming back and accomplishing his dream. It's, I can't say enough about it. So, I mean, it's a good movie.
Yeah, and Indiana, is big with basketball, and, it's a small town, and these guys, kind of came out of nowhere and were able to accomplish something that, people weren't expecting them to accomplish, and they came out here and they did the unthinkable, and it was actually based on a team, Milan, in 1954, who actually won the state championship. It was based on that team. So, to go out there and do what they did, and it was a really good movie overall, not just the sports part of it. And of course, again, the topic of all these movies seem to be the underdog, the Cinderella story, and again, we see that in Hoosiers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and another part of this movie that I think is great is the assistant coach who his son's on the team, and he's trying to get his life back together, and he eventually does in the middle of coaching this team, but it goes to show you another redemption. Not only was it the head coach, but it was the guy who was, the homeless man that actually helped out the team later to win the state championship. Hoosiers, I know, on many people's lists is either 1 or 2. I think Field of Dreams 1 or 2. It goes 1A, 1B, I believe. Those 2 films are great, great for just sports in general. And there's plenty of foreign films. There's plenty of other films that didn't make our cut here for greatest sports movies of all time. But you know what? It's a debate that may never end.